Greetings and welcome back. Today, we're not going to rant or something like that. Today we're just going to sit back, relax and play 5 very different but awesome video games I would really recommend you to try out if you ever get the chance.
To begin with, I wanted to do a 10 awesome retro games you should check out video, but I was having some complications with my Retron 77 which plays Atari. The problem itself is simple enough, my capture card doesn't get any sound input from this console. And I read up upon it, something about the amount of hertz the Retron 77 uses due to the software, and my capture card doesn't support this type of sound input.
Simply put, either they have to update the console to use different sound hertz, or I have to buy a new capture card. So let's hope they roll that update out soon.
It's a shame really, since I enjoy playing my Atari games quite a lot. In fact, I've had more fun in these old school games than I had in those microtransactions filled video games they release nowadays.
Oh sorry, I really shouldn't call it microtransactions, should I? It's more like macrotransactions, yeah. $20 for a skin, $25 for a new gun, and hell, some of the houses in Elder Scrolls Online costs more in my real life house. Anyway, let's look at video games.
First off, we got the Lucky Dime Caper starring Donald Duck. This game was released on both Master System and the Game Gear, and as you can see, I got the Game Gear version.
The only difference being a slight graphical one, I presume. Look, I don't think the enjoyment of the game is going to differ too much choosing one over the other.
Well, the game is simple enough, having only 2 buttons to use. I'm using my Retron 5 Game Gear adapter since, well, good luck finding an actual working Game Gear nowadays.
Which might be easy in the US since I have never even seen one over here in Europe. But apparently they did exist since I bought the video games here. But I think we can all safely say that they got beat pretty badly by Nintendo's Game Boy.
As a kid, I knew no one who had this console, nor anyone who knew about it. They all had Game Boys or Tiger-like video game consoles.
You know, calling Tiger hardware video games is like calling sorbet regular ice cream.
Back to the game, it seems that Uncle Scrooge is giving Huey, Dewey and Louie their first lucky dime, since that's the life of a cheapskate. But Magic at Dispel comes in, snatches the nephews as well as Scrooge's lucky dime, and it is now up to everybody's favorite underpaid duck to save the nephews and finally save the lucky dime.
And that's the premise of the Lucky Dime Caper starring Donald Duck.
The game itself offers a lot of variety for a side-scrolling handheld/home console game. We got undersea travel, we got the Old West or Aztec architecture, and the enemies are decent looking, ranging from poncho-wearing people to turtles and even piranha fish. You can jump, obviously since it is a platformer, and you can swing your hammer around to hit enemies. The delay is minimal, but there is some given my TV setup. The bosses are sort of generic, like this statue in South America, but it is a fun, decent little game if you ever come across it.
Usually there are very few Disney games I actually enjoy playing, like Toy Story 2 and Kingdom Hearts. Yeah, I'm counting that as Disney. Apart from that, I might not have had the best experience with their games, probably because I got the worst of the worst as a kid, like Experiment 626, which is just a mediocre game overall. But back to this Donald Duck video game, which I would highly recommend you trying out since it is an amazing fun little 2D platformer made by Disney.
Speaking of Disney, we got another one, this time the Castle of Illusion starring Mickey Mouse. These Master System games sure is boring to look at, even the covers aren't that impressive for the most times.
So apart from that, let's look at the video game.
Once again, I'm using the Retron 5 adapter, not sponsored. Land of Illusion is a sequel to the Castle of Illusion, which came out on Master System, Game Gear, Mega Drive and even Saturn.
Man, you think that's enough? It's almost as bad as Minecraft! Although, it's not quite there yet.
Anyway, the sequel even had a sequel called World of Illusion starring Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck, and even that sequel had a sequel called Legend of Illusion starring Goofy, Mickey and Donald Duck.
And if that's not enough for you, Epic Mickey Power of Illusion could be considered part of this quintology. Heck, if you count Epic Mickey 2, it's a hextology, or a double trilogy. Man, you think that's enough?
Anyway, let's take a look at the game, why don't we? It seems that Mickey is asleep and is transported into a world of illusion.
Or land in this case. Yeah, the whole dreaming part, I'm not that big a fan of, but sadly, a lot of Mickey Mouse games surrounded this, even magical mirrors on the GameCube. Seriously, would it have hurt them to make a Mario clone out of this? Sorry, I got sidetracked.
Land of Illusion takes place in a dream world, and by the way, this game was also available on the Game Gear. The stages and the characters you meet are quite familiar. Daisy Duck is the Little Red Riding Hood, and even Carl from the Jungle Book makes an appearance. The game takes you through a bunch of different areas and contains a lot of interesting mechanics like grabbing onto vines so you don't get blown away by the gust, and also picking up objects to hit enemies in the head with it. Since the rule of jumping on their heads like Mario doesn't apply, at least I haven't gotten it to work yet. In all fairness, this is a great 2D platformer which I would say comes pretty close to the original Mario games, but it is unforgivingly hard.
The learning curve is quite steep in this one.
You can make it all the way through a stage but die once and you go back to the beginning. That is brutal. Would a checkpoint have hurt?
It is an old game, so hard difficulty is just something you have to expect, so if that doesn't bother you, then by all means go ahead and try it out. Or see if the PS Store still have the remake available of Castle of Illusions. It's not quite as good, but it should give you a feel of the Illusion games if nothing else.
Next on our list is an old classic called Kabuki Quantum Fighter on the NES.
You probably heard of this game since a certain Monday show have tried it out. But that doesn't mean I can't recommend it.
Kabuki Quantum Fighter is a video game about a cyber virus you have to stop before it gets access to the world's nuclear warheads. And you do so by scanning your brain into a newly made pod that then transports you into the cyber world.
I believe that Digimon has done something similar in one of their reincarnations. I'm not sure though. Anyway.
The original Japanese version seems to follow a movie by Kaizo Hayashi, where a young boy transforms into his ancestors, which in Japanese translates to Kabuki.
In terms of the art, where ancient Japan is portrayed through the art of Kabuki. Or, simply put, Japan-only theater.
Anyway, in the abroad version, it's nuclear warheads in a computer. But the gameplay and controls are actually pretty damn good. It feels like a different take on Mega Man, where you got a medium to insanely hard level followed by the boss, which you get power-ups for beating.
Yeah, it is a genuine Mega Man clone, but there is a difference.
You don't get to choose what enemy you fight, so there's no strategy involved in what ability works best on what boss. Honestly, my suggestion, use your hair whip throughout most of the stage and save as much energy as possible for the bosses. This makes that ordeal so much easier, since the bosses tend to take away a lot of health. Another game this reminds me of, apart from Mega Man and Metroidvania to some extent, is Shantae the Magical Half-Genie Hero, since we got the hair whip and different abilities and a set pattern to beat the level.
So if you're a fan of any of those kind of games, you should really check it out. But like the other games on this list up until now, it is pretty damn difficult, so you have to replay some stages a lot in order to get anywhere.
Okay, now on to something different. Gojira Kaiju Daikessen on the Super Famicom.
This game is just great, although I should probably also recommend either Destroy All Monsters or Unleashed, since they are perfect representations of the Gojira universe. The PS3-4 version? Not so much. Sure, Gojira fans can play it, but that's about it. Look, I'm almost at Platinum in that game, only needing the Sotroya, so I know what I'm talking about.
Anyway, back to Kaiju Daikessen, or translated to Godzilla Monster Wars. It's an excellent tournament fighter game which is a tad too difficult for people who's not used to fighting games. Even on easy or practice as they call it, I'm still getting beat up. So the first thing to mention, the learning curve is quite steep, so you better get ready for a lot of pain before the fun. Which I'm presuming a lot of fighting game masters are used to when trying out new games.
Personally, I'm more of an RPG adventure type of guy, but that doesn't mean this game is bad or anything like that.
There's a total of 8 monsters to choose from: Gojira Anguirus, Mecha Gojira, Byorande, Gigan, Megaron and Mothra, with a few unlockable ones unlocked through playing easy, medium and hard.
So good luck with that. That is quite some hours of painful entertainment. Speaking of that, I'll assume this game has a save feature then, otherwise this would be cruel.
Anyway, the move seems to be random, but that's probably because I'm a button masher when it comes to fighting games. Although there's a few weird ideas in the game, I'm not quite sure of what I should think of. For instance, Byorande is freaking huge, and it has no jump ability, nor any dash command, making it quite slow to play, and this leads into our second interesting gameplay, Mothra. She flies. Combine these two and I'm sure you can guess the results.
You can't hit Mothra with Byorande, unless there's some sort of command I just can't figure out. Anyway, it's a good fighting game and a great Gojira game. Try it out if you ever get the chance.
Okay, last but certainly not least, we got Gunstar Hero.
Now this is a great video game, I just can't help but play from time to time. Now to put the... what the fuck? Get out of here.
This game is sort of like Metal Slug, but in my opinion leagues ahead of it. You get to choose which weapon to use and your preferred playstyle, which not that many games did back then. And after that you can even choose which order to play the levels in, and I'm assuming it's like Mega Man, once you beat the first batch of levels, you'll get to the next level or levels. The action and the precision is pretty damn good. I always pick the homing gun since, personally, I'm a really lousy shot even in these side-scroller shoot-em-ups.
What can I say? I'm just playing video games to be entertained. I'm not turning a hobby into a sport.
You can even mix and match your weaponry to add new and different abilities such as the homing flamethrower, laser, ice beam, you name it. There's a total of 16 different combinations, including double flames and homing, making for some great action. Speaking of action, this game feels like an arcade game on your home console, lots of enemies, explosions, and this game really supports Sega's famous blast processing, putting the SNES to shame.
It's just a joy to play and look at. The game just feels and looks amazing.
There is a lot of awesome enemies, and honestly, if you like games like Contra, you really should give this a go. In my opinion, it is way better.
But Contra is still a really great game, just to make that clear.
The game is also out on the Game Gear, obviously enough, I have to say, but you can also find the 3DS version of the game, so there's plenty of ways to try it out. Anyway, if you like any of these shoot-em-up games, arcade style, you really should try it out.
Well, that was 5 great retro games I would recommend you to try out. I'm the Angrynator, terminating bad video games, or in this case, good video games for your entertainment.